kind of defensive Corki build where you don't tap into his advantages that he has innately as a champion that you can exploit.
Yeah, we heard Freak talking about that earlier. We'll see how Alex responds in this next one, as we have entered picks and bans for game number 2 between Team Dragon Knights and Apex. Twisted Fate banned away from Keen, the Nai instantaneous Lulu ban to follow it out. Once again, trying to lock down that pressure that TDK can put out with OQ on a protect the AD carry composition. Now Corki is going to be a ban, and Poppy banned away from Apex.
So Apex should ban Nautilus last because they're just going to first pick it on TDK's side. If you don't ban both and you just ban one, you give the other one over to the blue side team. Possibly expecting a Trundle here as well, because Trundle ban will stop somebody from shredding that tank. If you ban Trundle, then you pretty much force the other ban, but Graves is a good ban against Keen. He's just very disruptive on that champion, and people really haven't figured it out. We haven't seen it yet. We have seen him go at least 1v3 for an extended period of time with that very creative Graves build, but he's not going to get the chance to play it in this set. So far, standard in the first two. Is that actually the standard now? Yeah, it became standard very quickly. Everybody's just like, Death's Dance, Phantom Dancer. Sounds good. Yeah. Sounds really good. There's going to be Nidalee banned away, or excuse me, Callista banned away. Nidalee picked up by Kez. Okay. Very surprised by that, actually. I was expecting a Nautilus first pick to come through here, but I guess they don't want Shrimp to have Nidalee that badly, and they want to set Kez up on that champion, because Kez plays a good Nidalee, he plays a good Elise. So he has options. So it has to be the takeaway from Shrimp in that case. Yeah, interestingly enough, the last time we saw him take that Nidalee was against Apex in game number 1 of the regular season, where he went a whopping 0-0-1. Yep. So we'll see if he's able to turn it up in this game. I'm sure he's been practicing it quite a bit. Nautilus picked up by Apex, and they've got Police back on Sivir. Yep, this is what I was expecting. Two very, very powerful picks. One that there isn't too much of an answer left for in the top lane. You can pick Trundle, and that'll help you deal with it. You can throw it on support or top. Either works. But Graves is kind of one of the big champions that you play into Nautilus, or you play another tank. Bit of a disadvantage there in the top lane. We'll see what ends up getting drafted, though. If Flares does play Kale, then that's actually quite a good matchup. You don't have much gank assistance as compared to Nautilus, but you do actually have a lot of pressure, and you can counter shove the wave. That's one of Nautilus's big strengths, is he just shoves very early, and you can actually harass him with your E while you're clearing the wave, get his shield off so he no longer has the AoE. And the resistance shred on top of it counteracts any sort of early defensive arrangement from Apex. We'll see if that's going to be the case, but so far Trundle looks to be the answer, as it is locked in. It could be for Flares, could be for Trance. We'll see where no, you just saw Braum, so that gives it away. Oh, well, yeah. It helps to look at both of the champions. Yeah. This is the second time I've done that. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, because I was sitting there like, this is my point of why would they give it away so quickly? It's because they want the Braum so badly. Braum is really good into Sivir. You block the Boomerang Blade, and if you put the shield up at the right time, you stop the ricochets from going back behind you. So you can absorb a lot of that damage, and it makes Sivir actually lose an immense amount of DPS, because now it's so high when she crits, you're basically adding, I want to say like almost triple her normal damage from before. Ooh, Quinn locked in for Keen in the mid lane. Wait, let me triple check. We don't know. You're right. We don't know. Because he can go top. Yep. And Nautilus can go mid. These guys, what are they doing? I don't know. Elise is going to be locked in for Shrimp. We know that. Yeah. So this is actually quite interesting. And I think this is going to come down to something where TDK don't get to swap champions and Apex do. So Apex can say, all right, where's this Trundle going? Where's this Ahri going? Or sorry, where's this Lissandra? Lissandra can flex, but now it's a top lane and it's a mid lane that are both flexible. Nautilus can go mid and just go into whatever matchup you want him to. And then that Quinn, if you want to play Quinn into Trundle so badly and make sure that that resistance shred isn't there, then you have that option as well. So Apex get multiple choices here. And this isn't so much just a flex pick in the sense of, oh, it can go to different roles. It's, we're actually going to flex 2 picks and possibly swap them around depending on what the matchups are. And they could just swap it back and forth too.
Yeah, we've seen Nautilus go towards the support area as well. Not so much recently because of his recent buffs towards his tanky stats, and with the ZZ Rock portal he works so well. But it is going to be Lucian locked in for OQ on the AD carry. Ezreal picked up to answer in the mid lane. Probably going to be going towards the mid for Alex Ich.
Yes.
I'm optimistic that I'm accurate on this prediction, but oh my gosh, that's a Zed lock in.
They did it.
It's
a Nautilus support.
What you guys are doing.
Juked. Everybody got juked. They're picking Zed into an Ezreal because the matchup is so good and he has the assassination potential, and they're picking the Quinn into the top lane Trundle because Trundle's not going to have somebody very resistance heavy to actually ultimate. It's a support Nautilus. The Trundle pick is much less effective now in terms of how much gold it's going to be taking away with the ultimate. That's dirty.
Yeah, that's very clever champion select for Apex getting into game number 2. Now we can see why they started to opt for these red sides, because now they can do this for the next 3 games. Even if they were to lose this one, this is Apex looking very strong in champion select.
And Quinn is a champion that you need to know the matchup. You need to be able to pick it into what you want, like a Gangplank, like a Trundle. You can't pick it into things like Rammus, Nautilus, any of these tanks. So, as soon as they saw the Trundle and the Braum, boom, lock in the Quinn. Still a flex pick. It's a triple flex as well. They did already have the Sivir showing, though. But that was really clever by Apex because you're not expecting that to be anything but a solo lane Nautilus, like you said, because it's so good.
Yeah, we're going to see how that works out for Apex. We want to know what you think once again. Take a minute to update your vote on Twitter. Last time, people who voted for Apex were right, but send your hashtag to @LOLesports with hashtag TDKWin or hashtag APXWin. We'll tally those up in just a few as everyone gets ready, and we load onto the Rift for game number 2 between Apex and TDK.
So this is a double AD composition, very heavy on the physical damage here for TDK. They do have Nidalee, they do have Kez with the magic damage follow-up, and they also have a Braum who's going to be able to apply his passive and have 2 AD carries to make it go off very quickly. But it doesn't really matter if you have multiple physical damage threats on this comp. You're not going to be facing a lot of armor on Apex's side at all. And if you do, Trundle's going to shred those resistances. So TDK composition makes sense, but Apex, Keen, Police, Special, a lot of engage tools here.
Already some early damage from Chris, taking Thunderlords on Win in the top lane instead of going for the more standard Fervor.
We see a mix. It's weird because people who pick Thunderlords are just going for the burst. They're going for the dive later on where you just rush an AD carry or you rush a jungler who's squishy and you just 2-pop them and they're done. But we do see Fervor sometimes where you just want to have the persistent trades. Sometimes we see it in the top lane more often. But a mid lane Quinn pretty much always takes Thunderlords for the reason of burst. But Chris, it's just suiting his style. And this is one of those champions where it is actually a stylistic choice. Do I want to burst or do I want to have that chase down extra damage after a sustained fight?
We have talked about how aggressive Chris can be in the past, and we saw how effective he was on that Poppy in game number 1. So now he's doing it again here in game number 2 with an even more aggressive AD carry. But here comes TDK with the late invade. They're going to find red buff on the far side, steal away one of the small Bramblebacks, and getting just a bit of punishment onto Chris as the double jungle has been started and executed by TDK. And Apex, they even went for a late invade on the opposite side as well.
Yep, TDK, they actually get away without any creeps going over. And on the opposite side, Apex, though, they do get one stolen from them by OQ. Gets to walk away, and Trance is still here. Because it's a lane swap, get out of this jungle. They might get triple buffed. We'll have to see what happens.
Kez is going to come for the late invade after clearing out his own Razorbeak. Doesn't have level 2 just yet because that is a little bit less experience than one of the larger camps, but he's going to pick it up. Actually, I believe... No, he cleared out Razorbeak,
What are you looking for?
Wouldn't Razorbeak give him a full level?
Who?
Kez. Because he got level 2 off of Red.
Well, if he's sharing experience, but no.
The case has been cracked. Ace Detective, Zirene.
I found it out.
on the case.
The story checked out. Leaves one Krug up, immediately runs to the other side. Apex will get that bottom side of the jungle, so it won't be a triple buff, but it is just a rush for this turret on both sides.
Blue buff going to be picked up by Shrimp on his own. Should be able to make it across the jungle in time to take a look for that red, unless Kez sprints straight over. As the turret race has begun, Flares should be able to get it. Ooh, perfect bounce.
Yep.
And the minion even dies right on time with the rest of the minion wave. So this is going to push back into Flares over time, which works out rather nicely for him. Shrimp on the invade will look for the bread steal as Kez is still busy at his own blue buff. So after all of the lane swappery shenanigans, seems like things are going to settle down just a bit. Yeah, Chris going for a similar one. Oh, you got to hold the wave back. You got to hold the wave back.
No.
Oh, is he pushing it?
Yeah,
pushing it now.
He knows that the AD carry is going to run down here. So steal as much CS as you can as Quinn before you go back into this matchup, because you're not going to get much CS for a few more minutes.
Oh, missed that one.
Oh.
But he is going to back away, seeing OQ down there. Doesn't want to take any chances that Trance might be there to follow him up. And everything shakes out standard. Oh, Chris will complete his recall despite some aggression. Oh, Cocoon finds Alex, and a lot of damage brings him low.
Yeah, and Alex doesn't use Flash, doesn't use Exhaust, so all Summoner spells are intact. But he does have to back, and that's advantage there for Keen. And now this is a big wave with a cannon minion in it for Police and Special, and you see Shrimp is on his way to that top lane. He just had to take a quick detour through the mid lane and do some damage to Alex.
Yeah, a very worth detour. That's going to help Keen out so much. He's already up in CS, but this top tier 1 is being pressured by Apex. They're trying to burn through its health as quickly as possible, but Flares is late to help Police, or not Police, OQ and Trance. They might not be able to answer with a tier 1 of their own.
I think the minion wave is actually large enough for them, but it'll take a couple extra waves. The top wave is really good. So what you do is Apex, exactly. You have enough minions here, fast shove. Look at this. They're going to need at least one more wave on the side of TDK to get that tier 1 down. So now you might lose 2 turrets just to get that 1 down because the wave wasn't actually used properly. Chris, you saw him clear the wave out and push it. Well, the slow push afterwards didn't come through correctly. TP is going to get used here by Trundle.
Yeah, to try and defend that tier 2. It's already been chunked down to half and will not regenerate over the course of the game. That is some very big damage. Shrimp, ooh, takes a spear, but Kez, kind enough not to follow it up, just secures a few Spiderlings and the rest of that Direwolf camp.
Yeah, definitely worth it, though. Using the TP to make sure you don't lose your tier 2 turret, because that's just a decent amount of gold, a decent amount of map pressure to go over. Chris used his TP as well to get down to this bottom lane and pick up CS. We're seeing what the old school lane swap used to be, where your AD carry would go against the top laner one-on-one, and then it would be the enemy top laner and support versus AD carry and support. But so now, Quinn actually pretty good in this one-on-one. Sometimes AD carry herself.
So far, Chris has been farming up just fine. Missed a few a little bit early on, but he's been making it back up as Alex is taking some huge punishment. Keen has level 6, and Alex has Exhaust and Flash, and now level 6 of his own, but Keen so happy to be taking an Assassin into an AD carry in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Champion Select set him up for that as well. The Nautilus to support. Very sneaky. Forced the Trundle pick. And then the Quinn follow-up. They were basically thought Quinn could be mid, or it could be top. What are we going to pick? They went for an AD carry. It would be rather safe.
Oh, Shrimp will spot this ward. Flares is getting a big wave building towards the top, so for now he's going to have a minor CS advantage, but he knows that Shrimp is on this side of the jungle, so he's probably not going to stay too long.
Okay, so Chris can actually hard freeze this wave for a decent amount of time. That cannon minion will give actually some pressure over.
Oh, this is an aggressive play by Keen. Takes a turret shot, but here comes 2 members. Not able to get the kill onto Alex, and TDK answer.
That was really aggressive there from Keen. He blew everything on Alex, who has Exhaust, and multiple members of TDK were actually running towards the top side because Chris can freeze this, and they just made a detour towards mid because of the pressure there. Good call.
Flash chomp from Flares bullies Chris back, but oh, here comes Trance and OQ. Flash gets him away from the winner's bite.
Yeah, this is exactly what you needed to do as TDK. When I was talking about how you can shove this, or keep this wave frozen, break the freeze. Bring as many people as you can to this top lane, and that's what TDK wanted to do. But they ended up getting a nice kill in the mid lane off of Keen's aggression. Turret will be answered bottom, though.
Yeah, icing on the cake for TDK. But again, it is a 1-for-1 turret trade. The top tier 2 for that bottom. OQ trying to cancel out as many minions as possible.
Chris will actually get a decent big wave here, too.
Can he freeze that from that close?
It's super hard to do.
Because you have to keep the wave really big,
Yes,
right?
yes, you do. You have to keep it big, but you can't keep it big enough to actually crash into your turret. And that's a really, really long distance, so...
Yeah, it looks like Chris is just farming right now.
Eventually, that wave will have a turret, a cannon minion in it when the other one doesn't, and it'll be out of sync, and then it'll eventually just push.
All right, so this is going to be Rift Herald now picked up by TDK, empowered recall for Kez. Apex answer on the opposite side with a dragon of their own. In this game, completely different pace from game number 1. It's been Trade City.
Yeah, it's actually a lane swap, whereas the first one was just one-on-ones, two-on-twos. Now we're going to be seeing top laners trying to figure out where can I get farm on this map and then put the AD carries on the opposite side. But in terms of power spikes in comp, grouping up mid isn't actually terrible for TDK. You can group, you can siege, you can throw spears down over and over again, and then the wave clear on the side of Apex is really Keen and a little bit of police at this point in the game, but he doesn't have too much AD to back it up just yet.
Oh, TDK look to finish the job they started a few minutes ago.
Yeah, gotta get that bottom turret. That's right. I forgot about that. Because the gold was so even.
Yeah, that turret is so low health. Flares doesn't even mind that he's tanking aggro. Turret is going to be picked up, and they're actually going to continue pressuring forward while Kez looks for a few deep wards. He's spotted out by Vision from Apex.
Okay, so you have to be careful here. If you're Apex, Chris does not have TP. Kez.
Keen just used his shadow. Keen is
slow.
so far forward, dodges the spear. Doesn't have any flash, though. Oh, tries to follow the shadow, but Kez gets an auto attack.
Yeah,
for
that's
the kill.
the red buff there from Kez. You think he's going to throw a spear first, he just auto attacks you for the slow, and then you have to use the ultimate to dodge. So Keen, he played that all right, but it's still can't counterplay that. Look at that damage.
Shredding through the health of this mid-tier 1 turret. TDK, whoa. Kez takes some big damage, but... Oh, he's actually taking turret aggro right there. Oh, wow, gets chunked low.
Yeah, heal from OQ. Thank him for that one, because that would have been Kez going down to the turret.
Barely kept alive, but Apex look to answer back as they've got a wave of their own, and Siver's got some pretty solid wave clear. Not quite able to push it.
Alex and Trance are going to be able to defend. Flares in the top lane, just freezing. Chris was shoving top, didn't have TP, so it's an easy answer from TDK to just push up mid. They could have pushed bottom as well, but they got complete vision control of this right side jungle for a couple of minutes. So TDK, they'll be able to know what's going on, who's traveling where, as Keen takes up a split push role now with his Youmuu's Ghostblade completed.
Oh, Chris. Valor went for the eyes right there.
The frog eyes. Ugh.
Yeah, that's going to
So
be...
he's going to come
Kez
back.
doesn't even take a chance. He just smites it.
Yeah, not this time.
The moment he saw the wolves.
But he doesn't even give it over to Alex, who has a tier,
Yeah.
and he really wants to just stack it up. So Alex is low on mana, and you can see there, because he didn't get it.
I think Alex had true shot there. Yes, he did.
Yeah, but why risk it? Nidalee's also very effective with blue buff, so it's not a complete loss. Tier there for Kez, so it looks like it will be a Rod of Ages second, most likely. And Shrimp coming from the backside here for Flares. His W's already down.
Oh, Cocoon burns Flare's flash.
So the ping's coming down to bot side, where Keen is hanging out.
Meanwhile, Special left to defend mid while police recalls. TDK answer the tier 2 turret pressure, but they don't have anyone to answer in the mid lane. The mid tier 1 goes down with no one from Apex to defend it. A little bit of missed recall timings. There goes a true shot barrage. Top tier 2 is going to finally drop. Flares take some damage, but with the Cocoon missing, that's no way they can get the kill.
Yeah, Cocoon not hitting was really big there. Also, the forms from Shrimp, it would have been a couple seconds before he was able to use his Q in Spider form again. having to shift back. Of course, I do like TDK's plan here. Siege up, put the Braum shield up to stop the wave clear from Sivir, so it's a great counter pick there. You stop all of Apex's ability to relieve pressure.
TDK continued to be grouped as 4. Alex getting that CS for now. Oh, small Razor Beak. Alex Itch assisting Shrimp clear the camp. And in fact, popping the Razor Sharp buff instantly with a ward.
Chris off on the side with behind enemy lines on. But it's just going to be a roam and assistance with the red buff.
Yeah, it looks like they're still going to give it to Shrimp this early on. So 13 minutes in, it's even in turrets. 2 tier 2s going down on the top side.
Rift Herald?
Apex has not answered back with the mid tier 1 turret though. And yeah, Rift Herald has spawned. TDK with their forward pressure have got the fast track to it. They follow up and pick it off. No problem. And it looks like it's OQ they're giving the buff to this time around.
Yep, OQ will probably split push. We'll see what he does. He loves to split push. He basically is a top laner stuck in an AD carry's body.
Meanwhile, Shrimp once again with the invade. Just like last game, trying to steal away what camps he can. It's so hard to do that against a Nidalee, but Shrimp is doing what he can as he's actually down about 16 CS.
Yeah.
Behind Kez.
His Elise has always been a little lackluster. He's played it before and had an outstanding game where he was just ganking left and right. And then he had another game where he got out-farmed. And after that game where Apex lost it with the Elise, that's when they ended up subbing in Eve to try and control the map more. So we'll see what happens after this game. Win or lose for Apex. Keen, gigantic wave on the bot side, and the rest of Apex are hanging out here where Chris could reinforce this position as well with his TP.
Yeah, they shove the wave forward. However, TDK are ready to answer.
Dragon.
Dragon is up right about now. Please says thank you for the mana. Heals it back with his spell shield. Now that Dragon has spawned, teleports available for both top laners. And both are capable of interrupting, so we might see some interesting interaction there as Keen is going to secure a blue buff here. And they're just making sure they've got all of that vision around the Dragon. Bax is still in the mid lane though, and they might be able to shred this before there's an answer. There's a teleport out of flares, and Apex are forced to back off. True Shot Barrage finds some good damage.
There's the poke as well. Alex completing his Iceborne Gauntlet is really big. It's the chase down, and that's going to be TDK picking up their first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, Chris decides not to teleport as he recalled on his own in addition to flares. But that means that now he has a teleport advantage.
Yeah, and Chris does have his Yomu's Ghostblade completed now after that back. So double Yomu's, a lot of physical damage, decent amount of penetration here for Apex early on. These squishies will go down very quickly between Alex and OQ. Apex are able to get onto them. Now we're just having a counter shove in the bot side. Trundle is here as well because Flares can't guard top lane and TP in because he used it. So now it's just basically 2 sieges. 3 sieges almost, actually. Going between the lanes now, testing for weakness.
Between 2 turrets, they find the mid tier 1. The wave is cleared. There goes the On the Hunt. They're looking for flares, but he's got his frozen domain. There's a huge knockout from Trance that buys them time. And they cannot find anyone. They cannot lock it down. Again, Chris recalls instead of continuing to push. Doesn't even use his teleport right now.
Yeah,
They're not able to make anything happen.
Went back, bought a few long swords. Just waiting for power spikes at this point. And yeah, like you said, not really pulling the trigger on anything except for that Sivir ultimate. If that had been a Sivir ultimate combined with something else. Oh, Alex!
Just finds some good damage onto Alex, but a True Shot Barrage answers back, and Chris eats some good chunk. They do have half a minion wave, though.
It's just going to get cleared out here. Once again, a little bit of a lull in what the teams are accomplishing, trying to figure out, okay, where can we actually push and what's going to be successful for us, or do we need to wait for power spikes here? Because Keen, he's got a little bit of split push under his belt in terms of his CS, even with Alex, but he doesn't have TP, so it's always very risky to run that Zed split push.
"17 minutes and 45 seconds in. TDK lead by 2 kills, even in turrets though, and dragons as well. So everyone's continuing to zone up more and more towards that late game. It seems like after an exciting early game with that lane swap and the turret trading and all of that action, we've settled sort of back into that passive play, though TDK did make a move on the tier 2 turrets. Weren't able to convert it into anything concrete.
Yeah. Little bit of damage on that mid. A little bit of damage on the bot tier 2. Apex, though, they have both side lanes completely cleared to those inhibitor turrets. It's that middle that's been so difficult for them to crack. And Apex are going to have to look for, most likely, split push here. Possibly 1-3-1 for a long portion of this game. I do want to talk about OQ for a second here, because OQ has been one of the most lane-dominant AD carries in the entire league for Challenger. And he's been having not that great of a performance against Police. Police has been able to play the Sivir both games now to great effect. And he's just able to pick up CS, able to pick up farm, and do a lot of team fight damage, even though Police wasn't really a huge kind of damage player for this team. They were mostly relying on Chris, but now Chris off of the tanks for a bit. On this Quinn, seeing what he's able to do. Does TDK pick up another Rift Herald here? And the collapse from Apex at the same time. Are we going to see a fight over the Rift Herald? World first.
Seems like we just might. Nope. There goes the Frozen Pillar. Oh, and a hook finds AlexH. I was so very, very wrong. Xpecial in the front, forced to flash back as it looks like TDK want to collapse. It was more of a skirmish though.
Yeah, they fought over it afterwards. Just a little bit of anger. You took it. Ah,
you killed Howard.
Get out of here. It's Harold. Harold. His name is Harold.
Harold the Herald.
Howard the Herald.
I imagine it would be something kind of wonky, like his name is Brock, and he's a Rift Herald.
Brock?
Brock the Rift Herald.
I could see that though, because he looks kind of Brocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd let that one fly.
And he has successfully heralded from the Rift.
Actually, Rift Scuttlers are female.
Shh. What?
Yeah, so it would be a she.
Where? Hold on. What? Where is this documentation?
In the descriptions that I read, it says, and then she.
Is this something you read on a fanfic once?
No. What?
He's looking it up. I just want everyone to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it says, killing this large monster will summon a speed shrine on the river she is killed on. Oh, yeah.
That could have just been the writer of the article.
Yeah. We usually refer to those things as she's. Like a
boat.
boat.
There are things happening, Aiden. Look.
Yes, there are. The turret goes down.
The mid-tier 2. Shrimp actually takes some damage from a slow as a spear finds Police for a huge chunk.
After that, tier 2 goes down. That's all of the tier 2s except for that bottom one down. And TDK actually take a turret lead off of that. Having the pressure, having the Muramana completed here for AlexH. Big spike in power. Now Chris, he's going to have to find some openings on this Quinn. It's much harder to find than you would think. Being able to run around the map, you have to stop for every blue trinket. You have to stop for every pink trinket you see. It's like, ah, they saw me.
It is about finding the flank, making sure they don't know you're coming in from the side.
I actually think one of the best things to do on Quinn is run a red trinket, run a sweeper.
Yeah, yeah. Play her like a true assassin.
Yeah. What you do is you sweep, and then you pop your Yomus, and you just run through everything. And they don't see you. They don't see you.
I think they would notice as the patches of vision they have on the map slowly go dark.
But they come light again so quickly. So it's just like, whoop.
Oh, wow.
You're literally a stealth bomber at that point.
The unseen threat. I like it.
You're a stealth bomber at that point. It's so much fun.
We'll see if Chris decides to go for something like that. So far, Apex are on the defensive.
Oh,
he finds Chris while he's teleporting. The rest of...
Ooh.
Hey, we're grouped at that dragon.
There was a pink ward there. Flares. Come on.
He was
really, right
really hungry for that fight. He really wanted it. But this is dragon number 2 for TDK. No fight from Apex. It is secured. Easy peasy.
Yep. And even though Flares did get his TP interrupted, he's still 2 levels up over Chris. And it's not just CS, it's who's been with him when he's picking up the CS. So Chris has been grouping up a little bit too much, which is weird to say, but as a Quinn, it is actually something where if you group up a lot, you're probably going to be behind in levels. And Flair's just been able to freeze at a turret for a very long time. Pretty much every time he picks up the minion waves.
Yeah, Flair's is getting pretty huge on that Trundle. Frozen Gauntlet, Joram's Fist, and now a Spectre's Cowl.
He's got his fists and boots, his gloves and boots. He's ready to go. Chris, though, can he find Kez?
Oh, he's found Kez. There's a flash, but the slow is still buying time. Here comes Shrimp. Can't quite catch up. Oh, huge Glacial Fissure, and Shrimp might be the one who trades his life. If that Cocoon had landed, it does not. Keen goes deep. Exhaust buys time. He's not doing as much as he should. He will get the shutdown kill onto Kez, and they follow up with another onto Trance and Apex. They find TDK out of position, but OQ's untouched on the side. There he goes, blinded and forced to flash out as the depth charge locks him down. Shrimp buys some time for his team, but Alex isn't done quite yet. The Iceborne Gauntlet does so much with the blue. He's landing them left, right, and center. He gets caught by the Cocoon. There's a cleanse, and Alex single-handedly turns it around into a double kill.
He has ulti.
Oh, but Chris is back into the fight. Recall, home guard, teleport. He gets in, and it's shut down by Chris.
And that's the home guard coming through. Is he going to keep running?
Oh, the minions.
His minions will slow him.
No.
Will slow him. Flares, pillar.
Oh,
no.
Trance.
Nope. Oh.
That is the face of regret.
Gotta check that for a second here. Yeah, his pillar was not up, and he was just running away. If the pillar was up, he would have been able to dismount the Quinn pretty quickly. So he backs Phantom Dancer there for Chris. I'll see if a Death's Dance comes through as well. Phantom Dancer
that's interesting.
has gained a lot of popularity. The 45% attack speed is immense, and then the damage reduction on top of it, very desirable. Keen jumps in, Keen R's, and he actually goes back to the bush, and then he goes over the wall with his flash, just so he's completely out of the fight, so that there's no way that anybody can get to him afterwards. And now it's Apex trying to stay alive. They basically stay alive with slivers of HP here, and then they overchase. And that's where everybody needs to collapse, help save Shrimp. Alex flashes the hook, kills Shrimp. Chris gets to back. Chris is buying, TPing now. And Xpecial, since he had landed that hook on the wall, it put him in a really bad position. The pillar came out to try and stop him, and that's where the pillar was used. But it didn't stop Chris, and Chris was able to pick up that kill. So the pillar was pretty much a non-issue. Unfortunately, because if he had just held the pillar, then there would have been a better opportunity. But tried, failed.
He tried to save his oh-so-important mid laner on that Ezreal, and unfortunately was not able to.
I believe if you time it correctly, you can actually interrupt the E from Quinn with the pillar.
Oh yeah, because it's a dash.
Yeah, it's a mini knock-up as well.
And the displacement.
So you'll be able to displace her as she's flying in. A lot of things actually trump the Quinn E, Sejuani Q, things like that. You can't charge as Sejuani is doing that. She pretty much has to put her foot right to your face and pick off.
I've always wondered about that. How do we determine priority on those collision hitboxes?
It's usually hitbox size.
Okay.
Right? It usually depends on the ability's width. So the width of the vault, when she's flying at you, we'll just call it 25. She basically has to make contact with your face with her foot and kick off of you, whereas Sejuani charges and maybe it's like a 50 width, right? So it's going to register before the vault.
Front.
Yeah. It's going to register before the vault does.
Interesting.
Right?
Because when you think about it from a horizontal perspective, they're both two lines of hitboxes that collide.
Yeah.
But I guess again, this is
so for fun.
Yeah,
basically it has to hit your center first, and if mine is 50 width and yours is 25 width, I'm going to reach your center before you do. So think of it like reach in boxing. Right?
Gotcha. So Quinn isn't just kicking off of your face. She's kicking into your heart.
Sure.
Off of that.
Sure. She'll bite your ear off, too. Watch out.
Maybe not quite that extreme this game, though Chris is doing pretty well. 1-0-2. Everyone on Apex, except for Xpecial, have got 100% kill participation. The only person to do that for TDK is Alex, thanks to those double kills that he picked up at the end of that last fight.
Yeah, and Alex picks up the QSS into the Mercurial Scimitar for himself. Get rid of the Cocoon. It'll also get rid of Keen's ultimate. So the Death Mark, less effective now. But look at that, Black Cleaver for Keen. Wants the cooldown reduction. And
Yeah,
it's a tanky build again. It's the tanky Zed.
Oh, do you think that's... No, he's already got the longsword, so that's going to be a Sterix.
Doesn't that still go to...
Nope, Titanic is
it doesn't go...
Giant's Belt, Jorim's...
Does it go to Tiamat?
Tiamat. Oh, it could go into Tiamat. You're correct. No. Tiamat is Pickaxe and... Oh, Chris actually might be in some trouble here. Yeah, he's definitely in some trouble here. Kez gets an assassination on the far side. It's Rejuvenation Bead.
That's right. It used to be 2 Rejuvenation Beads, Pickaxe, and then
Longsword. That's what it used to cost.
Yep. So it's Sterix, most likely here. More Keen. But of course, on the back foot. So 2K down on the side of Apex. They won game 1. TDK, they lost game 1 in their semifinals. They 3-0'd on the way back, so it ended up being a 3-1 series overall. TDK, they're looking to kick back here. Third Dragon is on the table, but they want to push a little bit more before they get to that point. Trance, he's been doing a good job of blocking what Police wants to accomplish.
Not quite able to hold that wave, though, as Police is able to clear it out. Flares bullying Chris, nets a kill, and shoves the wave into the tier 2.
Oh, ping
still
onto
standing for now.
There was a ping onto the pink ward on the bot side. Chris rushing through the top jungle.
This is Dragon number 3 for Apex. That could mean a 41-minute Dragon 5.
Oh, Chris ran straight to the blue. And you're right, could be a 41-minute Dragon 5 for TDK. They had Dragon control last time, so I guess Dragon Knight's name is quite fitting right now. And now they've cleared out this top side. Flares backing, clearing out the pit.
Could be looking for...
And they have to check it.
Yeah.
TDK have to check it. They don't know if they went back and do it. They at least have to look. Yeah.
So again, everything seems to settle down a little bit. Flares netting the solo kill, was able to reward his team with that tier 2. So we'll see how that matchup plays out in the future, because that's not exactly going to be getting better for Chris as he looks to go into a Sterix Gauge of his own.
Yeah, Sterix Gauge alongside the Phantom Dancer. A lot of tankiness there. You rely on your base damages, and you're still able to take out AD carries fairly quickly. Kez cleans up the pit, and he's out of there. So Vision Control goes over to TDK for a bit. Flare's hanging out in the bot lane, waiting for this wave to crash. He's just going to pick it up really easily. And it's just right now, back and forth, wave clear, back and forth. Trying to find the 1-3-1 for Apex.
Chris having a difficult time answering flares. He's going to have to hold this bottom tier 2 while Keen was looking for a split on the top side. Didn't quite make it as far as the minion wave and was forced to back away. Showing up might have given too much of a go signal for TDK, who continue to keep pressure in this mid lane by clearing waves over and over. Luckily, though, Sivir, when unobstructed by Braum, is doing just fine as the static shiv and the ricochet crit.
Yep.
Wow.
Wave clear, looking for the wave clear here. 3 crit items for Police. He's sitting at, I believe it's 80%, 70% crit chance here with 30, 20, and 20. So 70% crit chance there for Police. He can, of course, can get another one.
What?
Yep. So
that is ridiculous. That is so cool.
So the ricochet, if the initial attack crits, the entire thing crits.
Yeah.
Not the entire ricochet, the single bolt from it, because ricochet is like 3 charges, right?
I think it's kind of a missed opportunity that the static shiv only goes up to 5. Because if it would go to 6, then Police would auto-attack once and clear an entire wave with the ricochet.
It's an immense amount of damage of wave clear and Sivir. And it's infinite bounces, right? It'll bounce infinitely as long as it hits everything just one time. Where that ability, I think, used to bounce infinitely, and it was a toggle. And then it was like, okay, well, yeah, let's make sure it only bounces a few times. And then I think we did that. And then it's like, okay, well, let's make it like this, and so it can't crit, and it'll bounce forever. And then we just said, you know what, let's just put both in there. And Sivir's ridiculous.
once again.
So
Back at the most played. Well, maybe not quite yet, but...
good win rate, though.
Oh, there's
Anyway.
OQ. Yeah, once again, top laner and AD carries body, splitting on the top side of the map, buys time with a wave. Chris, though, timing his recall. He's going to be able to catch that, no problem.
Yeah. Runs right out again. Looks like Maw will be his next item off of that Null Magic Mantle. Pretty standard Quinn build now. Some people will substitute an item out for Death Stance earlier, sometimes not. But this seems to be what people go for. Sometimes Rapid Fire Cannon as well.
OQ's culling finds some damage onto Keen, but he's healing up nice and fine with his refillable potion. Hasn't converted it over to a corrupting or anything. Just content with the passive sustain from that. While TDK, once again, they look to be setting up for this bottom tier 2.
Yeah, but here comes Chris, immediately boom, right in. And the wave is going to get cleared. This is rather frustrating for both squads. The wave clear from Police stops anything that TDK wants to do in a main lane with multiple numbers, or with superior numbers, and then TDK, well, Alex can ulti waves, and you can actually just cut people off, and it just becomes a big deal. And Police can also have all of his abilities pretty much stunted by Trance. Police is 2 levels down on OQ, though, so they're putting a lot of solo experience into OQ on these side lanes.
That Dragon 4 is coming up in 50 seconds now, and Apex, they're now invading down towards the blue side jungle of TDK. The blue buff killed on spawn. Keen has got the help of his team to secure it.
And this game is really reserved. Everybody's playing very cautiously because you have a Sivir. You could start a fight whenever you want. You have a Nautilus. You can definitely start a fight whenever you want. TDK are the ones who have to answer and play the fight appropriately. They have to wave clear. They have to make sure they actually allocate their damage correctly. And we see 8 kills at almost 36 minutes here.
Very slow game from the two. Flares will find some damage onto the tier 2.
Yeah, Chris,
with an auto attack and the burn.
Yeah, Chris is safe right now with all the armor that he's accumulated for himself. That he doesn't really have to worry about the damage that Chris is going to put out there unless he gets a Lord Dominic's regards. Then it becomes a problem.
It's like a Applied is breaking out in the mid lane.
That's a support.
Oh, True Shot Barrage is dodged by Xpecial. While Flares and Chris traded it out on the bottom lane. Dragon has spawned, and with that chunk damage, that looks good for TDK.
Yep. Flares throws down the W, heals a little bit more off of his passive, and runs away. And that's 4th Dragon for TDK.
Yeah, Apex can't even try to answer. They're running towards the Baron as 3.
They have to
Keen
clear
actually
pickport,
follows
though.
the shadow. They're going to be spotted on top of the ward, and Xpecial is going to make it there in time. Looks like Apex are disregarding the ward entirely. This is a very dangerous situation. Here comes Alex and the rest of Apex. They back up and turn it into a fight. It is a bait indeed, and Trance has fallen right into it. OQ will eat the depth charge as Flares is now properly tanking for his team. There's a flash, and he gets the jump onto Shrimp. Apex might have bitten off a bit more they can chew, as Xpecial now baiting it back with Chris, and they're trying to get away from this. There's the Sterix onto Chris. But now this could be TDK looking for the Baron and answer.
There were a couple more auto attacks that Police could have woven into that fight, but he didn't. He just backed up, and now Apex, after that bait, they lose Shrimp, they lose their Smite. But Kez had used his in the fight, and it looks like they're not going to try to actually pick anything up.
So after all, it does turn into a fight, but only one member gets killed. 37 minutes in, 9 deaths between the two teams as Keen continues to split push and play it nice and patiently. CS is pretty much even across the map. Gold, only 2,000 separates the two, so the later and later we get, the less value that gold gap has. But oh no, TDK look for and find the Baron. The vision is cleared from Apex, and
This is so fast. Here comes the TP from Chris. He's still going to be a little bit too late here.
That's Baron secured by TDK. No answer from Apex. They're escorting the minion wave down the mid lane, but that turret still at full health. And the True Shot Barrage again denies it.
The wave clear comes through, but Apex, they're going to be on the back foot for a long time now. This buff is going to last almost until the Dragon 5 comes up for TDK. So we're going to be seeing some conflict pretty much guaranteed in the next few minutes here. Whether it's TDK pushing in and making sure that they can get a lot off of this Baron buff, or it's Apex stopping TDK from a Dragon 5. Let's see what happens. The bait comes through. Chris from the flank. Kez uses his ultimate, and then they just chunk out Shrimp, or the remainder of Shrimp's HP, after he had already tanked for a decent bit. Flares is super tanky, walks up, just noms on Shrimp. All right, yeah, Police could have actually woven in a little bit more before he flashed, but still, Last Whisper's now coming through for Keen and Police. They realize we actually have to do some damage to the Flares.
Okay, he's been in a pretty good spot for most of this game, as finally he's going to break down the tier 2. Chris is on the other side of the map pushing a wave on his own. That's not going to help him defend.
Well, he's got nobody with a Baron buff up against him, except Flares is going to back. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to stop that.
There's another True Shot Barrage. Police once again says thank you for the mana. He's been excellent with those spell shields the entire game, but spell shields are not going to defend this inhibitor turret. And Trance is even dropping an Unbreakable to keep the cannon minion alive. Oh, Chris does find some damage on the flare. Stops the recall as TDK continuing to look for pressure here. They've still got Baron for another minute. And with already one tier 2 taken, that's 2.7 thousand gold. Now it's down to 2.5. Now it's back up to 2.7.
Yeah, Flares wanted to clear that top lane wave that was shoved in by Chris. Now Chris shoving out the bot lane, making sure there isn't a wave close to his base at all. 45 seconds left on this Baron buff, and then Dragon will come up after a little bit longer. So it's almost at that 2-minute mark here for the Dragon. There it is.
Yeah, right on time. The train is rolling into the station, and that train is named TDK. They've got a minion wave now, and they're able to get some good chunk damage. Might be able to finish it off the cannon minion.
Yeah.
Oh, not enough. That inhibitor is just a hair's breadth from going away.
Yeah, that turret so close. And this is the last minion wave where you have a Baron buff. And it's going to go away pretty much as the minion wave walks up to that turret. And you can see the wave clear from Apex, so strong. Those crits from Sivir, just immense. It's still enough to deal with Baron buffed up minions though. So TDK, they're able to use Baron, get about 2.6k gold, and Apex are able to defend. It's a 5,000 gold lead now with 1 minute on that 5th Dragon for TDK. Last time we saw a real fight break out, it was going in TDK's favor, and the one before that, Apex overstayed on that bot side, and Alex was able to clean up. So we're seeing multiple threats here on TDK, and Apex, they're still kind of sitting on their hands here. This was a comp that you could use and have that Quinn run around the map and get these squishies. But no, playing for the late game on champions, not really intense in the late game.
Oh, Police finally is able to break down this mid-tier 1 Apex. They've had their sights set on it for so long, and will finally bring it down. Now Keen looking for a bit of a flank on the side. And oh, looks like they've caught OQ. There's Flash, but he's taking a lot of damage. Depth Charge locks him down, but Trance is acting as a wall, keeping him locked up. Special drops before Apex can respond.
They were not ready for Trance there. Trance jumps in. OQ does everything he can to get out, and this is going to be the fight here.
Oh, Chris looks to be the main target. There goes a lot of the shields and healing. Flares chases him down. There's a repel. True Shot Barrage is going to miss. Keen goes in. He's not able to turn it into anything, though. That's another 2 members of Apex dead. Dragon 5 has just spawned, but TDK might not need it.
They're going to go for it anyway, just in case, because they don't have minion waves far enough up to actually close out the game off of just that. There is a minute on Keen, so they'll be able to push, see what they get off of this. OQ, a lot of damage, especially with that Baron buff. And you take extremely low damage with, Dragon 5, because remember, Dragon 5 will multiply the buffs that you have, and now it reduces the damage you take from turrets. So now they have even more reduction and ability to dive these turrets. You can see flares.
Oh, it's still 5v3, and TDK are looking to turn it into an even series here as both of the Nexus turrets go down before you can blink. They're on the Nexus itself, and TDK are going to drop it. They even this back up with Apex.
And TDK, they were able to play that one 42 minutes, 10 minutes longer than our previous game. And Apex kind of sat on their hands. They had that Zed who can run around and assassinate, and they were content with playing 1-3-1 with Quinn and Zed instead of playing very quickly. You can play that composition with, all right, 3 people mid, push out, then as soon as you have a numbers advantage, Quinn can run down from the top lane, and you pop the Sivir ultimate and you can dive. You can make these plays happen, but it seemed like everybody was just really hesitant to do much of anything aside from farming on both of these squads for a very long time.
Yeah, Apex were so patient with that game. They took their time, waited out the advantages that they had, and never gave Apex, TDK took their time with that. They never gave Apex an opportunity to come back. Anytime Apex would make a move, there would be just enough members of TDK to sort of put a stop to it.
Yeah, and I think that the Trundle came up really big as well. Flares being able to pick up that champion and soak a lot of the damage, and there really wasn't anything that was going to get through his resistances. You saw everybody was very hesitant to even buy more penetration beyond just the Yomu's Ghostblade that they had. We saw Police and Keen both pick up Mortal Reminder later, and then there was a Last Whisper on Chris that didn't even get completed. So by the time they got to that point, well, it was a little bit too late, and the damage had already been done from the Trundle. He was already so disruptive, and his backline was already doing so much damage that, like I said, it was too late. I do like the double exhaust because Keen is basically useless there. Trance took exhaust, and so did Alex Each in the mid lane. So we saw the first blood come out because of the exhaust. We also saw later on every time Keen was really hesitant to jump in because he's basically going to get exhausted and accomplish nothing.
Yeah, we saw that happen in multiple fights, but let's check in with our analysts to see what they make of that TDK win.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Once again, we pulled in some challenger expertise and would like to welcome Team Liquid Academy's AD carry Fabi to the desk. So first off, thank you for joining us.
It's fine being here.
I like being here.
Fine. We were having,
It's nonchalant.
we were having rich conversation during
Yeah,
the game.
seriously.
Yeah.
And then he shuts us down just like that. All right, okay, I see how it is. Got to play it cool for the fans at home. No, Fabi, TDK, they're evening up the series 1-1, so I want to get your initial take on that victory, some of the adjustments they made coming into game 2.
Well, they finally decided to shut down Keen, which is, like Freak said, the main aspect of them winning every game, or like just the first game in general. Like if you get Keen down, Oki is just going to outscale Police every game because he's just that much better of a player. So if they keep doing what they keep doing and focusing Keen, they're going to keep winning the game.
Yeah, so let's talk about one of the Keen a little bit. We saw the Zed come through on an all AD team along with a Quinn, so kind of a double assassin, double split pushing comp here coming in for the likes of Apex. What are our thoughts on that, Jet?
Yeah, it was a little strange because Zed was the very final pick. Yeah. And it didn't create cohesion for the team comp. Interestingly enough, this is one of the rare situations where I didn't like the draft from either team. It looked like very early on, the Nidalee was the only solid thing, and I think that ended up winning them the game because on the side of Apex, they looked to counterpick the lanes in multiple occasions, which then gave them an all AD composition, but then they couldn't win the lanes because they didn't have jungle pressure against the Nidalee. So they ended up losing the draft, although I also had problems with the other side of the draft that I think Freak echoes.
Yeah, so interesting stuff sort of coming in here from TDK overall is the fact that they're just kind of continually running poke teams now, right? Like they went away from all the other things. I'm forgetting now the notes on everything that got picked in what order, whatever, but
Nidalee first, then Trundle Braum,
yeah,
then Lucian
as I
Ezreal
pull it
to
up,
finish it off.
it's-
Orky was banned.
yeah. So they're doing this weird thing where they're kind of like giving away a lot of the really powerful things, like the Nautilus goes over, like the Sivir goes over, like all these strong things go over, and it's just this sort of mediocre like poke composition. Like, okay, they got some tanks, they got some poke, but like Varus is on the table.
Yeah.
OQ plays Ezreal himself. You can make it just a better poke team.
We had this conversation during the game, right? Like, there are things we would have liked to see. I have no idea why you last pick Lucian Ezreal instead of just last picking Varus Ezreal.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Stronger poke.
Stronger poke. Congratulations. But at the same time, if Varus isn't in Alex H's champion pool, very clearly Ezreal was, because he played a very good game in a champion that actually just doesn't seem that strong mid in the current game.
Yeah, but Varus looks stronger in general, just damage. But like Ezreal here was better because you can build armor into like 3 AD team. So it looks a lot better that way. That and you have more escapes. Like if you go Varus, you're gonna get camp mid. You need exhaust for like Zed, but you're not gonna be able to get cleanse for the least Cocoon. So like you're just gonna end up getting camped if you do go Varus.
Fair point, having the mobility of the E as well as being able to build that early Iceborne gauntlets against the likes of Quinn, Nautilus, and Elise, who you had seen at that point in the draft. Zed hadn't quite been locked in yet, so you weren't sure what you're going up against in the mid lane. But very much works out for him there. And then I want to go back to Fabi's point about the fact that Keen wasn't allowed to get off the ground. So when it comes to that jungle pressure on the side of Kez with the Nidalee, and then the 3-man visits mid lane twice in a row early game, definitely hurting Keen's ability to then split push through the mid game. I think that on top of being full AD, they definitely ran into some issues. Shrimp, not a jungler that's known for getting out pressured. You know, we heard Zirene talk around at the beginning of the day on the likes of Rek'Sai's power farming. We even saw it in Kez's jungle having the pressure this time, almost nowhere to be seen for the majority of the game.
Well, I mean, this is Nidalee, right? Like, in the professional scene, Nidalee is, I think, actually the first pick or ban jungler. Like, if you were to have no bans on either side, you would probably see blue teams pick Nidalee more often than any other single champion. Nidalee is the go-to jungler, no matter how good Shrimp was. And you saw how much Shrimp wrecked Kez in game 1. It was not even close. Well, you give Kez Nidalee, and suddenly it goes the entirely other way. This is, the important champion. It's almost always banned against the teams on blue side. And Apex said, you know what? We'll give you Nidalee to get Sivir Braum, or to get Sivir Nautilus, rather.
Yeah.
And I understand the thought process behind that trade. Turns out, still get wrecked by Nidalee.
I want to jump into our replay real quickly. We're going to go to a 24-minute fight. Now, it happened well before the game ended, so it didn't necessarily decide the game. But, Jad, I think it's one that illustrates kind of wins and losses, successes and failures of both teams.
We saw this fight. We're like, this one actually doesn't decide the game in any way, but it's still a cool fight.
Yeah.
So we wanted to show it again. This was kind of Alex redeeming himself at the very end, but the very beginning of the fight was Apex finally finding an opportunity where they could get a fight. They had a numbers advantage, and they don't have super strong initiation. Notice how Shrimp had to flash the Cocoon just so Keen could get in range for his Zed ultimate, but they actually do kill the pest that was Kez this early, and then they maintained their numbers advantage and actually at one point used the move speed of Sivir to force here. But this is where Alex finally arrives to the fight, and we see why they picked the Ezreal. It's because he is comfortable on something. He does stuff here that Varus just simply could not do. Shifts in, gets the slows down to Shrimp, dumps a bunch of damage, has a very timely flash into the range of Shrimp and away from X Special's dredge line to then secure 2 kills kind of based off the outplay. Of course, at the very end then, Chris teleports in, is able to finish off Alex Each. So it was really just an exciting fight through and through.
Yeah, ultimately didn't decide the game one way or the other, but it did kind of point to the fact that if you're on the side of Apex and you're not winning those mid-game team fights pretty handily, that when that trundle scales, there's no way you're going to win the game from that point onward.
Yeah, Apex's team gets vastly outscaled. It's like not even close. Quinn was picked for a lane matchup, but you are not going to outscale a Trundle. Zed into takes that big, not going to happen for you either. And just the fact that there were actually good frontliners, top lane Trundle, support Braum, compared to your top laners Quinn, your junglers
and
Elise,
support Nautilus.
and your support Nautilus is not as tanky as support Braum. The stats don't come close. So you mash heads together at 4 or 5 items, goes TDK's way every time.
Yeah.
All right, end of game 2. We're at 1-1 in the series. Keep it tuned right here because game 3 of Team Dragon Knights versus Apex is coming your way after this quick break. Stay with us.
And we load onto the rip for game number 2 between Apex and TDK. He's landing them left, right, and center. He gets caught by the Cocoon. There's a cleanse, and Alex single-handedly turns it around. Flares chases him down. There's a repel. True Shot Barrage is going to miss. Keen goes in. He's not able to turn it into anything, though. That's another 2 members of Apex dead. And TDK are going to drop it. They even this back up with Apex.